Hey YouTube, FBot here. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make a beautiful multi-layered stencil design in less than 10 minutes. In this video we're going to be taking a look at this wonderful piece of artwork, and I'll explain to you step by step exactly how it's made. So without further ado, let's get started. So the program we're going to be using in this tutorial is called GIMP. It's like Photoshop, but it's totally free and open source. So if you don't have it already, just go ahead and pause this video, click the download link located in the video description, and resume this video once you have that opened up. So the first thing you're going to do once you have the program open is select a source image. Selecting a source image is really important because for stencil art you want to have an image that has high contrast. So all that means is there's a big difference between the lightest color in the image and the darkest color. And in this we have a lot of high contrasting elements. We have the white glare that's coming off of his helmet contrasted against the black of his armored vest. The reason why it's so important to have high contrast in stencil art is because ultimately we're going to reduce this image down to a couple colors, and you want those colors to really pop against each other. If the colors are too similar, the image is going to look really flat and it's going to be hard to tell where the details are in the image. So once you have the image selected and loaded up, what you're going to want to do is delete anything that you don't want in the final product. So in this case, I don't want anything that's in the background to be in the final product. I just want to focus solely on the Half-Life 2 Combine. So first I'm going to take my lasso tool and I'm just going to go ahead and select everything that's in the background. So I'm just going to go around here, select everything that's on the edges. Now that's a really boring, tedious process. It'll probably take you about 2 minutes or so to do that. So I'm going to skip that and just show you the final product. Okay, so here's the Half-Life 2 Combine with no background. Now in order to make this into stencil art, we have to reduce the number of colors. Now like I said in the beginning of this video, this is a tutorial on how to make a multi-layer stencil art, stencil piece, which means we're going to have multiple colors. So the first thing you're going to want to do is desaturate the image, and that just means taking out all the color, you make it grayscale. So I'm going to go to Colors, Desaturate. Now once again I'm going for the option that's going to provide the most contrast. So there are 3 different options here, and it looks like Luminosity is going to provide the most contrast. So I'm going to select that one. Then the next thing we want to do is blur the image. This is really important when making stencil art because if you don't blur the image, you're going to have a lot of really fine point details that are going to be almost impossible to cut out by hand. To show you what I mean by this, I'm going to stencilize the image before blurring and after blurring. So here's what it looks like when you try to stencilize the image before you've blurred it. Okay, so I've reduced the number of colors down to 4, and if you look closely, you'll see that there are a ton of fine point details. Now, you technically could make this into a stencil, but it would be really difficult to preserve all of those little details. So I'm going to go back, and what I'm going to do before I stencilize it is I'm going to blur the entire image. So to do that, go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And looking in the preview box, it looks like this is going to be the perfect amount of blur. So I'm not going to change any of the settings, I'm just going to click OK. Alright, so now that the image is blurred, now I'm going to reduce the number of colors down to 4 colors. So I'm going to go to Image, Transform, Image, Mode, Indexed. Now, you can choose however many colors you want. Just keep in mind that The more colors you have, the more stencils you're going to have. So if you want to keep it simple, use a lower number of colors. Now I'm going with 4 in this particular stencil because this is a multi-layer piece. You could go with 2 like a lot of stencil artists, but you're going to lose a lot of the detail and the image is going to seem really flat. So if you want to preserve some of the shape and texture of the image, I suggest going with 3 or 4 layers. Okay, so now you'll see the huge difference between using blur and not using blur. Since I used blur before converting this image to 4 colors, now the layers are distinct, the edges are smooth and rounded, and this is going to be a lot easier to cut out, and it's going to be a lot nicer finished product. Okay, so now that we've got these 4 different colors, we want to separate this image into 4 separate layers, 4 different stencils. So the first thing I'm going to do is just copy this layer and then make 3 more copies of it. Okay, so now I'm just going to view this layer. So the bottom layer is going to be your darkest layer. Since this layer is going underneath all the other layers, I want this layer to just be pure black. So I'm going to take my dropper tool, select that color of black, and then I'm going to click on the Select by Color tool. Now this tool is going to select everything in the image that's of a certain color. And since we have only 4 colors, this is going to be really easy. So I'm going to select the black, hold Shift, select dark gray, keep holding Shift, light gray, and white. So now we've got the whole combine selected. I'm going to click on my Paint Fill tool, or Bucket Fill tool I should say. And then this is very important, click on this one, Fill Whole Selection. Okay, so now that I've done that, the entire layer is just black. This is perfect because this is going to be the outline of our image. Okay, and then we're going to move on to the next layer. So for this layer, I want it to be the second darkest, which is dark gray. So I'm going to just delete the black, and I'm going to select everything that's remaining by holding Shift, and then I'm going to select that color of dark gray using my dropper tool. I'm going to fill that in. Now you'll see all we have in this layer is dark gray, and you'll see it starting to come together. Now I'm going to move on to my next layer. I just want this one to be light gray, so I'm going to delete the black, delete the dark gray, select the light gray and the white, use my dropper tool to get that exact color. I'm going to fill that in. And then my last layer is going to be white, so all I'm going to do is just delete everything that's not white. Really simple. Okay, so now when you combine all of these layers together, it forms a complete image. And the last thing you want to do in making good stencil art is select a really cool background that's going to make the image pop out. So as you'll see, we just used the standard white background. Okay, that's cool, but it doesn't really have the same effect. I'm going for something that's kind of fierce. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that background layer, and I'm going to pick a color that's really going to make this pop. And for this one, I'm going for kind of that Cold War propaganda type of feel, so I'm just going to go with that, Soviet Russia red. I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to paint it into the background. Now you'll see what happened is it didn't turn out red, it turned out gray. That's because we're still in index mode. So what you want to do is go to Image, Mode, and instead of clicking Index like we did before, click RGB. And now paint the background again. So that's it. Making stencil art is that easy. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. If you're feeling lazy and you just want to buy the piece of artwork that you saw in today's video, feel free to check out my website. It's called oversprayart.com. There's a link for it in the description. If you want to see more how-to videos like this, check out my channel. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.